And benvenuti, fellas and bellas all over the world. Welcome to another episode of the Napoli Rant. I am Raf Biz, joined by my co-host, the Vicar of Vesuvius, Rafa Rispo.
What's up, Rafa Bizzarro?
Ciao, bello. Hello to you, Rafa. And hello to all our viewers in our live chat as well as our audio listeners. Let's get this rant on the road. But before we do, show your support by subscribing to our YouTube channel and be sure to give this episode a like. I know there was a large amount of viewers that were here for the post-game rant against Juve, but we're back here on the Monday night rant. Big win this week against Juve, 5-1 at the Stadio Maradona. And here to join us tonight, a very special guest to talk about it, Rafa. Would you like to do the honors?
I would like to do the honors. She is with CBS Sports, and she is a good friend of the show. So let's bring her in. Host of Calcio e Cappuccino, anywhere you can find your podcasts for CBS Sports. Golasso. It is Christine Cupo, the wonderful Christine Cupo. Come on in, Christine.
What up? Hi, guys.
What up?
Ciao,
Thank you so much for having me. Ciao, ciao. I feel like this is an interesting date to have me on with the fallout for the Juve Napoli match. But
See what we did there? You see what we did there?
I appreciate it, man. I would do the same. I like to ride high on petty. But unfortunately, you can all pull the receipts because I had many weeks ago already said that you can't rule Napoli out for winning Champions League. So somehow I've endeared myself to the Napoli fans.
Yes, you have.
You were there at the meet as well, which was awesome.
Sure.
You showed up. Lovely time. Everybody had a good time. Everybody's a little
I had
Napoli
an amazing time. Great pizza. Excellent vibes. Good match. 10 out of 10 would do again. Yeah.
We're doing it again the 29th, January 29th.
January 29th.
What month are we in, Ref?
All the months meshed together, Christine.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. January 29th for Roma at Ribalta. Come through, everybody who wants to. We're going to have like 6 different clubs representing. Coming to have someone from England coming too. It's insane. So we're doing it big. We're doing it big.
But I'm used to taking a whole bunch of shit, so you can just hang. I can hang.
Yeah, and that's why we have her here, because we know she can hang, because it's proven that she can hang. She hung with us at the meet at Ribalta, and it was really dope. Definitely. It's good to catch the eye of like a CBS representation. We had Serie A representation for the club, and also good to make new friends. We also met you at the Champions League outing in Brooklyn, if you remember.
Yes, we had
saw you there too.
Champions League splash on the Brooklyn waterfront, which was outstanding. It was really
beautiful,
nice.
And it couldn't have been a better day. That Wednesday,
oh my God,
could have been a better day, right? Ralph?
The thing is, rooting alliances aside, and obviously we are all very passionate about our teams. All of the tri-state area supporters clubs that I've managed to meet make me so absurdly proud, because the representation that we have across the states is so massive. So for the league and otherwise, this is like my little pedestal speech. It's really nice to meet other people that are like-minded and as passionate about the thing that I love so much. It's a great common denominator for all of us. And no matter what, at the end of the day, sometimes one of us cries, happy tears or sad tears. But what Napoli are doing this season is just, it's unreal. It's fun football. It's wonderful to watch. The overall squad chemistry, the fight that they have all in for each other and otherwise, Spalletti. It's one of those magical kind of once in a lifetime things, it feels like. And I want them to see it through.
Well said.
Great. That's great. So speaking of once in, I don't know, Ralph, if you had something to add to that, but I think I have my first question here.
Well, I wanted to say we're Napoli Don, and no matter what, we cry. That's number one.
Oh, that's true.
All right.
That's
and every time Rafa cries,
not necessarily
an angel
at
gets
Calcio.
their wings.
That's right.
I wanted to say that.
That's
We,
right.
we're criers here.
Listen, I'm a little bit Napolitan. My family is from Piemonte, so Campagna Salerno, so
Good.
not too far from away. We're a little bit mixed in that muddy waters. But my grandfather, my great grandfather, was from Napoli, so technically my rooting alliances should be elsewhere. But I know all about
Well, you've got the maroon of
high
Salernitana on,
emotions,
so-
right?
Yeah.
Well, see, so we're all a little Napoli down deep down inside,
Yeah,
whether you
I
have
mean,
family
listen,
there or not, right? I mean,
look at half the staff at CBS. Messina's from the south.
Yeah,
Bonetti's
yeah.
got family
Yep.
from Napoli. You got Fabrizio Romano, who's Napolitan.
Yep.
You got Grella, who's half Napolitan too. So everybody's.
You have to figure out though that like that's possibly one of the larger immigrant groups from
Yes.
Italy. So it makes
Yes.
sense that we're all either like Salerno Italians or Napolitan.
right.
Right. What upsets
What kind
me
of
is that
phrases?
everybody kind of veered off to another team in Serie A because everybody else was doing so well. And then when the real Napolitani were out, when
like child Christine saw Juve and we're like, I like it. I'm
well,
going
I guess
with
that's
it.
where
Is
I
that the
want to.
official? Yeah, right. Please,
Yeah,
Rafa, is that the
let's
official
start with
statement?
that really quick before we get into the game and before we get into everything else.
Right.
Where did it come from? Like, obviously, your parents. What influenced you to this cultural world, this crazy cultural world?
None of them. Let's put it that way. So
Them. Okay.
I very much chose on my own. I did have a neighbor's input, and I kind of just went with like, oh, black, white. I like this Juve team,
Awesome color.
and it. But yeah, like the thing where you're like this empty-headed kid who's like, yeah, give me that. I want that. That's cool. And then like as I got a little bit older, it was like I got gripped up by they're winning, they're good, they're Del Piero, and like beyond that, it's like okay, like that's my team. But yeah, I have no actual physical or blood ties to Torino, which is kind of comical. But here I am as a full-grown adult.
It's funny because when you think about like American football, right, here in the sport in the States, I feel like that's the one sport like that is most like has most of the fans of a specific team might not come from that place. There's so many New York Dallas Cowboy fans. Like, why are you a Dallas Cowboy fan?
Oh yes,
Probably
the Dynasty
because
era. It's
the
funny
Dynasty,
because
yeah.
I'm not too far outside that realm, but I was actually the one thing that my father had a whole bunch of input into was like my American football rooting interest because he was a diehard 49ers fan, like Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Steve Young era. So I grew up thinking that like, I don't know, Steve Young was like my other, Steve Young, Joe Montana was like my other dad. So it's like, okay, like I grew up in New York and New Jersey, like
right,
San Francisco, yeah,
right. How that happened, right?
right.
So where exactly did you grow up? I know you live in the city now, right? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, so it's funny. I'm your stereotypical New York Italian American. I was born in Staten Island, and then we moved immediately to Jersey, way down in Long Beach Island, which is like closer to Atlantic City and Philly than it is to New York.
Okay.
So I was kind of hatched in the crosshairs of Philly and New York sports fans just because of the geography that I was in. And then from that, I ping-ponged back. As a little kid, I always said, I'm moving back to New York. Like I hated it at first because I wasn't used to the quiet. And the second that I finished undergrad, I immediately moved back to New York. So then did end up happening. It just took a little bit longer than I thought it would as a kid.
See, that's how we know we're true New Yorkers is when we're just like, it's too quiet. Like I need an ambulance or a garbage truck or, somebody fighting or else I can't sleep. Like that's my ambient noise is noise.
When we first moved, granted I was very young, but I remember always sleeping with either the radio or the TV on because you could hear crickets and that was creepier to me than just like, sirens and other normal street noises. Plus I think most of us, and I don't know if this is true, but I think it is, grow up in households like with also our grandparents. So you either live in like a 2-family house or like it's like a upstairs downstairs scenario from whatever. So most of my like kid years were spent being babysat by like my grandfather and my grandmother. So I feel like I also I say I have some like old no tendencies because I just was around an old man all the time. And my grandfather was a riot because he was like your Italian man who was super into racing and betting. So like there goes little me with a tiny pencil into OTB trying to bet on horses. I'm like, this is totally normal. Don't tell mom.
Well, then you'd fit right in where I'm living right now. I'm up in Saratoga Springs, so you'd fit right in up here where they have the Travers race in the summer, and they have the whole summer long racing here. So yeah, I get that because I moved all the way up here, and it was quiet. It was real quiet when I first moved up here.
It's tough.
And even where my parents moved to, they ended up settling in Mayapack, New York, right? So that's like top of Westchester County. But even there, it's like on an intersection. There's a firehouse right down the road. There's streets. Guys who think they're big shots with their big friggin' mufflers and engines and bikes and all that stuff, right? And so now I lived up here, and it was so quiet. But now I live at another intersection. I mean, it's in the town, it's in the city, so it's lively, but it's nothing like New York. Every now and then we'll catch like a fire, right?
The fire alarm
we'll
usually
fire station going off.
Run, Rafa, run.
So I feel at home here where I'm at.
It wasn't like there's a fire or something running to the window.
Right. It's something like,
yeah.
Like I'm thinking it happens and Rafa's getting invaded. Show's over. Let's get out of here.
Wrap it up. I gotta go. So
we gotta go. Like we're getting a bunch of. So quick question for you, from the chat, and then we'll move on to Juve. Vincenzo Bertillo asks, and Joy Carbs wants to confirm: Springsteen or Bon Jovi?
Ooh, that's so hard. I love Springsteen. I mean, I love them both. Like, I feel like there's a time and a place, right? So I feel like you can vibe a little bit more to Springsteen, but like Bon Jovi, you need when you're drunk in a bar because you need to scream, sing, hanging on, like living on a prayer, right? Like,
why not? The best of both worlds. Why not?
I feel like they're very those are definitely like Italian American anthems. Like we gotta go hard.
Well, Bon Jovi is actually Bon Jovi. For some reason, I just found this out. His actual last name is Bon Jovi, like BONGIOVI. Like it's not actually Bon Jovi with a J. They Americanized it. He's an Italian kid, so that's pretty cool. I didn't know that, but
figures.
Anyway, you mentioned a first or like something that happens once every like a one-time thing. But earlier you said something about that. Here's my question: how cool, how chill was it with Alessandro freaking Nesta? You had the pleasure of chilling with him and hanging out with him, and I think watching the game with him, right? Did you end up watching the game?
Yeah, I legitimately sat there on my throne beside Alessandro Nesta watching this match, which is a little bit surreal when you stop and think about it, because I'm not joking. Like, they had two different chairs for he and I in front of the TVs, and then behind us was just like a wall of other people watching. So it's like a front row seat, and I'm just like looking over at him watching. And
you're like, wow.
I'm talking to myself because that's what I do when I watch games, and I'm like, why would you do that? Whatever. Yeah. And then I realized that by halftime, someone behind us had gotten up and walked over toward my back, and I kind of turned and he said, "Oh no, you can't leave this seat. Like you're like our Napoli lucky charm now," because while I was in my chair, the goals started rolling in, and so I agreed not to move, and 3 more goals happened. So I've now
this
been
is classic.
I'm not kidding you. I left the set with no fewer than 5 business cards for people in Naples. Car service. What was the other one? I think one was pizza, a guy that does like sports training, and like I was just laughing because I was like, this is fitting. I now have
I love it.
I'm like, I guess you guys really have to win the scudetto this season,
dude,
that I can be like the artist in residence at the Maradona, like Kanye did at the
yes.
Like I'm just gonna live somewhere in there.
just kind of like in the spogliatoio, just kind of sit there.
For as long as my body will hold out, which give me maybe 2 weeks, and then I need to be shipped home.
That's
twice
great.
this season. That's happened once, and they were actually both involved CBS guys. The first time it happened was at our first meet, right, Ralph, at Dan's house in Pearl River.
Rafa, but before you go there, I just want to say how awesome it is, how typical it is to get business cards from Neapolitans for car service, pizza, and sports training.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah.
that's like we can't get it. You can't get any more Neapolitan typical than that. I had to throw that out there. But
no, that's right.
yes.
But also Neapolitan typical is how
The superstition.
we had
Big.
Yeah, the superstition. So we had our first meet of the season, and it was at one of our buddies' house in Rockland County, and Gio Cozzolino came, right?
Okay.
And he was I don't know, he was at his laptop, and
For
I
other
guess
people
he had.
that don't know, he's another CBS person. But go ahead.
He is a CBS guy, yeah. So he's
And a good friend of ours, been on the
He's
show.
so cool. We love him. So
He's a
he's
sweetheart.
over.
His
Yeah,
by the way, as an aside, his XG for Paramount Plus FC is like 4 million.
yeah.
But
That's
he was
right.
like the ball
I've
falls
seen
at his
that.
feet every time. I'm like, I'm actually enraged because I'll be working like 400% full steam ahead, running my ass off, and he just happens to place himself just properly.
The
where
ball
the
plays right to it, right? Yeah. No,
That's
well,
great.
anyway, it was 5-2 Napoli against Verona, right? So every time we scored, he was over by his computer. So we told him, stay there, just stay there.
Yeah, you had to stay
And
there.
he had his laptop had CBS running while we had it running, and his was a little ahead. So he would like hold it in before we found out, so we could all celebrate. But we told him, because he left after like the second or third goal. He would leave the spot. We're like, no, Gio, you got to go back over there. Same thing happened at the Champions League game where Marco sat next to, I think it was Ralph Biz or something, and then he was getting up. Well, we were up 1-0, 2-0. And then he was getting up. We're like, no, you got to stay there. Where you going? You sit right there. Where are you moving? Oh man,
I had seen him sitting over by you guys, and I was like, oh, he's really like locked in there. Now I understand. He was held hostage.
No, it wasn't that. Where do you mean, at the Brooklyn thing? Or?
No, we held him hostage there because he couldn't move because we scored the first 2 goals.
But not only that, we were the most fun too. Let's keep it
That's
real.
true.
We
really were.
Like between me, Rafa, and Papa Rispo, I mean, we had the place lit. We were screaming the loudest. We had the play-by-play on, and you would think that there was a huge contingent of like British fans and English fans and things like that. But let me tell you, 3 Napolitans, that's all it took. The loudest ones in there. So.
Well, they got loud towards the end because of everything that happened with Atletico and with Liverpool, right? But we were brawling with the Liverpool. We had to sit next to the Liverpool contingency, so we started brawling with them because we're like, all right, yeah, we'll see you next week. Don't worry about it, because it was match week 5. So the next match week was them in the last one. And we were scoring, and these guys were struggling. And we were like, yeah, we got you next week, buddy. Don't worry about it. And then they started scoring, and they were like, we got you. See, it was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. But the thing is that they had no audio. So I synced up my Radio Kiss Kiss Napoli app with the Carmine Martino's play-by-play while the game was going on. I synced it perfectly. It was wonderful.
Somebody has to be that hero.
That's, listen.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. I put my cape on for that one, right? So, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Listen, Christine, my condolences to your vecchia signora this past weekend. How you dealing with that?
They didn't deserve to win. The thing is, when you rely on sort of a streak or history, and you say like, okay, like 8 straight clean sheet wins, which was unreal, right? But you need to look at like how they actually happened, right? They were heavily defensive matches orchestrated by Allegri, which nobody really, you're not going to celebrate too hard. I think, a win is a win. But taking it in stride, it hasn't been great, at least the last 3 seasons, although I could be gaslighting myself and it could be way worse than that beyond that. I'm really realistic about the squad that they have, the capacity for what they can do, but it's not, they can win. And I'm sure that they'll do the same thing that they've been over the last few seasons, which is like ping pong between like 2nd and 6th for the remainder of the season. God help me.
Yeah.
but they're not going to be pretty and they won't be exciting. What's ahead? Who knows? I just know that
Atalanta's ahead. Atalanta's
yeah, Gasparini will probably. I mean, they've been spotty too, so it could very well be that they could neutralize them. But Atalanta don't have a terribly dissimilar style from Napoli. I'd say the other more similar would be like Fiorentina with Italiano ball. Definitely more attacking. And the thing is, like with matches like that are the inversion of like Juve squad or style at the moment, because it certainly isn't their identity, is you can get like a really fascinating and outstanding tactically neutral match where you're like, oh, that was basically like heavy management, really smart, fluidity and changes. But that's when you get like a 1-1 draw or a scoreless game or nothing to write home about particularly. The way that they've been playing, or at least this Napoli match, was just shambles.
Well, because ahead of it, there was a lot of optimism for the Juventus. I mean,
and that's what I mean is like when you go into it and you say like we have 8 straight wins, right? And it's not even like they were
all
draws or otherwise, it's not unbeaten, and it's all clean sheets. And like, yes, they were perfectly defensive, right? But the second that they choose not to be or opt out of that, there's an error or two. Like Bremer had a few errors this match. Danilo certainly had his handful. And those errors paired with the fact that, there's such a major disconnect between the midfield and the two up top, where, maybe the rest of the squad didn't get the memo that they're going to be pressing. But the second that they switched and all of a sudden we're trying to play this high line, which is just a grand error. I don't know how that even happened. I said, oh, this is going to be a goal test. And I had started this match thinking this will be low scoring. It'll probably be a draw. I don't think anybody anticipated this. This was kind of crazy.
No,
even like Alessandro Nesta said, which he predicted accurately. He said, if Napoli get a goal within the first 20 minutes, I think they'll win. And sure enough, they do. And I had asked him, who do you think is going to score? And he said Osimhen, and Osimhen did. And then thereafter, it wasn't fixable. It got worse and worse from that point forward. Napoli were really fluid. Mario Rui did a significant amount of heavy lifting. Politano on the wing, though he got absolutely battered, did a great job. Anguissa, Zielinski, you really can't. It's so hard at this point to pick out like who had the greatest showing out of the whole squad, which is like a great problem to have at this point in the season, because I think that they've figured out, who and what needs to transpire. And the thing is, it's not like they're just playing attacking pretty ball. They actually have sauce. It's kind of funny to watch because you see like Kvara with like a back heel that like is perfectly executed, which quite frankly, I am in probably the minority, because most people are like, oh yeah, do a back heel. I hate back heels because most of the time they're useless and they go to shit. So I'm like, no,
fair enough.
Smart pass and don't play around, right? No,
but his back heels are smart passes.
Back heel right to Mario Rui, and I'm
right
like,
to him,
sir. What? I mean, he also got fouled in the process, which again, Kvara took a lot of physical damage because that was one way of neutralizing him in this match. But like that, and then what was the other one? The other one was maybe I'm trying to remember. That
so funny.
Pasquale, I apologize that I did not pick Mario Rui, but it came very.
Nobody knows
who you. Nobody knows yet.
Nobody knows. We're
gonna surprise here. Yeah.
But then also,
we're gonna hit them with that later.
Little things like, so there was Kvara's back heel that was like, I was like, oh, that's saucy. All right, like for a Georgian kid who was not playing at this level prior to this, like, okay, we've got confidence, right? Like we're moving at this point. And then Di Lorenzo on that overlapping run for Politano around like the 33rd minute, where he just like he came out of nowhere, sprinted in right outside the box. There was that little loop pass that nobody could have even got in between. I think maybe it was Rabiot who was like towards that, probably trying to defend, split them. Granted, that didn't convert to a goal, but it sure as heck could have. The thing is, it's not just pretty ball. It's very fast. It's pressing. It's exciting. It's fun to watch.
There's that one move where I feel like it's Di Lorenzo gets the ball to Politano, who like one times it up the line to
Yeah.
Victor, and it's been happening. I've seen it, and I think 2 or 3 times it's turned into a goal, which that led to the second goal, the Kvara goal, where Osimhen
I'm
does
telling
what he
you, like
does to that
even
side.
the avenues that Mario Rui created from the back, where like the man spent most of the time up and down that wing, just impressive. Like the work rate.
Yeah, speaking of work rate, I was going to mention when he put that pressure on Bremer. I think it was it was the header, the goal, Osimhen's header assisted from Cavada. It was Mario Rui who put the pressure on Bremer, was able to basically stop him from clearing it, and it was converted to a goal. So
again,
it's
like
those little things,
there's small things that happened, and then on top of that, just it almost feels like they have learned this perfectly orchestrated dance. Like the chemistry is so good that they know what to anticipate where. And that's not something that can be taught. It's an intangible. I don't think you get that with every squad, no matter how much you practice. So it was impressive. It was infuriating because obviously Juve were a mess, truly. Like,
is there one thing that, say you were coaching that squad that day, that maybe you would have changed or, done something differently? Because there was
would it have been Chiesa and Kostic on the wings of a 5-man midfield? Like, what is
probably not. But at this point, I feel like I probably would have brought on the kids earlier.
Okay.
I think that
play the kids, #play
the kids.
Right?
Yeah, we're finally starting to see Juve getting like Miretti, Eling Jr., Sule on pitch, and they deserve the minutes at this point because it's like if you have these seasoned players that are ineffective, you can see Chiesa getting really frustrated, which rightfully so, kind of like screaming back and looking back like, are we the only ones pressing? Yes, sir, you are. You're alone in this. Their passes were messy. They looked very disorganized. Even the weighting of their balls that they were putting through was just like, who are you passing to? The amount of opportunities that Napoli had to counter, it could have been a much higher scoring game. It just wasn't. I mean, if it weren't for Tech, probably it could have been. Just messy.
Did any of you happen to catch Spalletti's pre-match conference? There was a question here from Napoli Club Toronto. Did you see it? If you did, they have a question. If not, maybe we can answer it later.
Are you asking me? Because I did, yeah.
You saw it? Okay, so I want to put this question out there.
I read some stuff about it. I didn't see it.
All right, let me read it out so all the listeners can. Sorry, we covered your face a little bit, but I'll take it off real quick. Napoli Club Toronto asks, sorry, just tuning back in, but question. How impactful do you think was Spalletti's pre-match conference on the game? I personally believe it played a massive role in prepping, conditioning the match.
If what they're referring to was Spalletti kind of just calling out Allegri for trying to play mind games and kind of just saying like, hey, like
we're not falling for it.
I'm not going for it. I'm not taking the bait.
Right.
I respect that. The other thing is like, this is culture. Like you're gonna try to get in somebody's head. You're going to lean full into whatever banter you can. And like, I love that too. Like everybody needs a good football villain. But the thing is, if you're going to do it, you had better be sure that you're backing it all up.
Sure.
I feel like
talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, right?
Right. To have that egg on your face after that and getting absolutely trounced, you're going to have to do better than talk.
How amazing was the Spalletti trying to catch Allegri before he left?
Oh my God. Okay. So I actually had to catch that back after the fact because I was already
working.
But so the part that I saw initially was just them shaking hands. And then when I went back and watched it, I actually was like in tears laughing because he literally ran after him to shake his hand. And I was like, you know what?
He was like this, Christine.
It's just the way he had his hand out the whole time.
Hello?
That is such a G move. Like, I respect. Okay, like I love Spalletti. I also love
Spalletti's a G.
the juxtaposition of like Spalletti in his like warm ups that he always wears, and then like Allegri in his suit, and it's just like, hey, are you gonna
Right. Like he's chasing him with his hand out. Like, are you
So I feel like if we had to build like a Mount Rushmore of like awkward but petty post-match handshakes, like the Conte Tuchel would definitely be on there. But this would absolutely, yes. Like, are you kidding? Yeah. Yes, Corey, good eye.
Corey says better than Conte Tuchel.
Yeah.
So as far as the game goes,
Ralph, I put out, by the way, just real quick, I put out in the chat, guys, for the beast of the match. I want everybody to choose something. Maybe in a couple minutes we'll get that out there. And we can talk about that.
Giving us your pick of the beast of the match because Christine's gonna unveil hers soon.
Yeah.
But I guess to wrap up what happened at the Maradona, you mentioned on the podcast, right? Because I listened to it. Obviously, I listen to it whenever it comes out, right? But I listened again today, in retrospect, right? And a lot of the guys, like Marco, Marco himself had mentioned that if Napoli win this game, and if they win convincingly, that's probably a wrap for the scudetto, right? It's a long ways still. I mean, the half season mark actually comes after the next match, which Napoli plays Salernitana, who just got trounced by Atalanta, who just let go of Davide Nicola, which is crazy because they're 10 points better than they were last season. I know it's a bad loss, but
I love Memo, and like Memo will continue to put Salernitana on his back for the rest of the season. But I think what we're going to see is like he's going to have a lot of amazing saves and a lot of concessions, just because it seems like they want to give him zero help whatsoever.
That defense wasn't helping out at all. You know, I've got a big Memo Ochoa fan at the shop, and they come in and we talk, and it was not good. But you know, Atalanta and Juve, Napoli, and Salernitana. Then it's the halfway mark. Now we've got a whole 19 other fixtures left, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Rafa, let's do beast of the match before we get to the second half. This way we can wrap up the Juve game.
Okay.
Because I really want to hear
that because that was leading to a question, but let's do that first, and then all right, cool.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get this game out to it because I really want to hear what Christina says. Well, I want to give her enough time to talk about this. But beast of the match, guys. I want to know. This is gonna be a big shocker. I love it, but let us know who your beast of the match was. Put it in the chat. Put it on the comments. Let me know what you thought. We're about to show you ours. Here we go. Dun dun dun. Here it is, guys.
Lobo Cop.
Lobo wins #BOTM this week. Christine, you want to do the honors? We'll give you the honors.
Sure. I'm waiting for like the reactions.
Well,
I'm like,
we got a few Cavadas out there. We got a few Ruiz.
So this was not an easy match to choose.
It was not.
Said beast for, quite frankly, for all of the reasons that I mentioned. I ran through you guys really put me through my paces with this one, because I was not going to choose Kvaratskhelia because he's the obvious, pick, I think, for, man of the match and otherwise. Osimhen was a close second just because he's an absolute workhorse. I considered sincerely Zielinski only because last week he was benched for contract issues. And I think that the contrast between that match and this one were clear as day for me, that were a solid argument for why they need to retain him. He is kind of a string puller on the squad. Politano put in an excellent shift. Di Lorenzo, of course, Mario Rui, absolutely solid.
Elmas even for me.
Elmas for sure. I mean, Rahmani pulling up after. I'm sorry, but Rahmani with that like volley goal was like that was his penance for his earlier screw up. I was like, what? I'm like, that's his first goal of the season, but like, what a hell of a time to score it. There was nobody that I hadn't looked at that had minutes this match that you couldn't have some sort of an argument for why they should be beast of the match for this particular match. And then, of course, I kind of revisited all of that and decided that it's Lobotka. He's their regista. He sets the tone. He also pulls the strings for this match in particular. He was constantly dropping into defense when they needed. He also was breaking lines and creating space between Juve's lines. Not that it was too hard because they were not compact at all, but he was certainly creating space where he could. And I just like being able to switch play, casually dribbling from like essentially within like the Napoli box out to the half. He just, a lot of his effort in this match that contributed to some of the other goals and plays and channels through, whether it be from Rui or Politano on the other flank, were because of Lobotka's presence. And so I felt like, devoid of goals or other stats to demonstrate this, he definitely deserved the tip of the hat because he really, really is sort of the engine of this squad. And he does it consistently and quietly. Like he's not that guy, which is surprising. You know, he could very well be, you know. So I think that for this reason, I gave my beast of the match to Lobotka.
Love it.
Is it fair to say that Lobotka is like the Jorginho plug and play, right? I mean, he just reminds me so much of Jorginho and what he contributed in the Saudi ball days, right?
Yeah.
And that begs the next question, is Saudi ball even real? Because like, is it Giuntoli ball? Is it like, you know, De Laurentiis ball? Is it, you know, because these guys are playing and scoring goals like Saudi did and keeping possession like Saudi did. Maybe not as like aesthetically good looking on the pitch with the one touch passes and the, you know, the tiki taka that was played, but it's essentially the same formation. You've got the same type of players in Anguissa who wins balls back, Lobotka who's pulling the strings. You've got Zielinski up there. That's like the Hamsik of the crew, right? You know, and then you've got an out and out 9 in Osimhen, but you've got the wings. You thought, you know, we'd be missing Insigne, but here comes Kvaratskhelia, and you either put Lozano or Politano on that side, right? Like for me, it just seems like this is like Spalletti ball, but it's all like a Giuntoli thing, right? Like the sporting director, like you guys mentioned on the show, he doesn't get enough attention for this. Like look at Lobotka was, you know, out the door after Gattuso, and then here comes you know, Spalletti and saves the day. He's having an outstanding season. Outstanding.
I think I mean, even aside from Lobotka, just the substitutions that were made, Oliveira coming second half, who's more than willing and able to knuckle up, coming on for Mario Rui was a super smart substitution. Because you need that guy, you know, irrespective of whether or not you need him in a blowout like this. I think it was the right move, but just it was a really fun game to watch, despite, you know, rooting interest and otherwise. If you were neutral to Serie A in general, it would be a game that I'd offer up to be like watch this, watch. But yeah, I mean, even I'm thinking about the Rahmani goal again, because like that was assisted by Kvara, who again, like not my beast of the match, but the way that, and this isn't even about Kvara, but the way that Anguissa knew to leave that ball to let it through. And this is what I mean about the chemistry that they have, because it would not have been evident to somebody else. But if you're looking at it again, if you watch that playback, you can see that Anguissa never would have been able to get that shot off because of how he was positioned. But because he shielded it and let that ball through to Rahmani, that volley came off. And it's insane the way that played through. Just really fun, little spicy stuff.
Right.
Let me throw in my 2 cents about Lobotka. But first, I want to say, Christine, thank you for actually revisiting your choice, because that's how serious Beast of the Match is. So we appreciate
I love
that
it.
you
took it that serious. You guys stress me out more than my pre-production meetings.
Listen,
It's a big deal because
I don't want to say I was trying to persuade you in any way. I mean, with the emails.
I mean, the thing
exchange,
is,
right?
like, it was not an easy call to begin with, and I think
Right.
that I did change my mind a few times, and I probably could have chosen literally anybody else. But when I actually was like, let me take a minute, like, Lobotka felt right.
Well, you sent the initial email, and I said, "Okay, are you sure?"
Are
And
you
then
sure?
said, like,
Yeah.
And
Are you
then
sure?
you're-
And I was
and
like,
then-
well, I mean, no. I kind of looked at it and was like, who do I want to
yeah,
pick?
and you're like, "Oh, Ralph,
Well,
I
yeah.
don't know."
Full
Hold on, let me
full
think of
disclosure, Christine. I was a little bit responsible for that as well. I was like, "Are you sure she wants OCM?" Because I was like,
that. You
Yeah.
positive?
Yes,
I was
I
like,
was-
"Yeah,
no,
I
I
think
kind
so,
of feel
man."
like that's like I think I was like, oh, low hanging fruit, like not Kvara, but let me go
Yeah.
Osimhen, who is, super impressive. But
Right.
I don't know. This match was absolutely Juve playing some very like beep around and find out football, and they very much found out.
You say, beep around and find out.
yeah, right. It's people
I'm
around.
keeping
love
it G for
Keeping it
the
G, yeah.
families in case there's
Keeping
any
it
small children.
rated G.
It's a
Exactly.
late night show, so yeah, we throw in a few, but it's up to you.
So on the vein of Spalletti, right?
Yes.
I guess this is where I was going before with Napoli's lead, right? The big lead that they have.
10 points,
you
yeah.
know, well, it's 9. It's not. It's
9?
10
Okay.
from Juve, but it's 9 now because of Milan's draw.
Okay. So 9 points top of the table.
9 points, right? And I said I don't want Napoli any worse, like any lower than 7. I want a 7-point lead consistently. That's what I want. That's my number.
We want
That's the
3
number I'm
3.5
comfortable with.
games
Yeah,
ahead.
that's what I
we're
want.
comfortable with.
But you made a controversial comment. I don't know if it was controversial. I understood it. I for sure understood what you were saying.
I don't think it's
But it was a
controversial. I
little-
think men are just emotional and don't listen to the words that
You're
I
right, 100%. I
Drop the
Christine,
mic.
I called Ralph and I was like, no, they don't understand her. I don't get it. Like, I feel that. I feel that's how I felt.
And it's
That's
funny
how I
because I don't
felt.
think that I've said anything differently. Like, so I know you said you listened back to the last episode of Calcio e Cappuccino, but I had said that a win would be more important for Napoli
Yes.
in this particular instance because they need it to steer out of after the last result. Because I don't think that they can sustain multiple losses and still come back out of it. And that's just something that's been historically the case. And I think that given the squad, and this is what you're leading to, given the squad and how good they are all in, acknowledging that there aren't like one-to-one replacements for each player, that they all come with something special, that they have the depth, that they also have the drive, the chemistry, and everything else. That it would be a Spalletti failure, not the squad itself or any of the individual players on the field that would be sort of the Achilles heel.
I get it. But months after the initial comment, what have you, Napoli are 9 points ahead at the half, right? What has any opinions changed? Like, do you see Spalletti? Like,
the thing is, I never said I saw him.
Or?
Yeah, the thing is, I never said that I saw him screwing up.
Right.
It's that if something were to go wrong, I think it would be him, not any of the individual players.
Got it.
And I still stand by that. I think that they are far too talented.
And you're also not saying he's going to.
No, I'm not saying that he's going to. Quite frankly, I think they really could win the scudetto this season, and I haven't ruled out that they could win the Champions League. Like I already said, they would. Sorry, I know you guys aren't going to like that, but
although lately we've been lightening up a little.
Listen,
no, we've been lightening up a little bit.
Say that. Say whatever you want. I don't care.
Promise, I will not give you guys the Mlokya, but I really there's something here, whether or not you want to acknowledge it or not. They
put
are
it this
playing,
way: the trip is booked.
They're playing like
no insurance.
Depend on it, and it's crazy because if you would have asked me, and I am on record, like you can pull the receipts from the beginning of the season when you let go of Koulibaly and Insigne, and who else left?
Mertens,
Mertens,
Ospina, Fabian.
Ospina,
like
Fabian.
the sort of exodus that happened preceding this season. I said, especially Koulibaly, that I had some serious reservations about whether or not Napoli would be as formidable this season. And then all of a sudden, De Laurentiis and company decided to do something wild. And we got a Georgian that I had never heard of. I'm not going to pretend like I was busy watching that league. No, sir. Among others that, all of a sudden it was like, wait a damn minute. Like who had what? Like it was very surprising to see how quickly this squad actually did come together. I mean, Kim and Jay was a great get. Okay. Like, and I had said, no, there's no, like, who are you going to get to replace Koulibaly? No, he's amazing. I think, yeah, like, Kim and Jay was a super valuable ad. I think that there were a lot of really smart decisions. Yeah. I think that they're probably at least the signings thus far. I don't know what's going to happen with the transfer window, but unless some other squad are gonna like outshine those, which will be no small feat. I think, yeah. And I see Cal's comment that everyone was so worried about Kim replacing KK, and now we're like, KK who? Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'd go that far. I still do watch him over at Chelsea, which he doesn't.
He's having a tough time.
He is having a tough time, and I really do feel badly for him. Premier League is.
He's having a tough time. Ospina just broke his elbow, and I think Onas just like tore his quad or something like that. It's pretty rough for some of our ex guys.
Is it a curse, guys? Did somebody get them on the way out?
I was the one on record too, Christine, and everybody. I said, listen, this might sound controversial, but maybe we need this. Is what I said. I didn't say anything about winning a scudetto. I didn't say anything about dominating Europe. I didn't say anything about that. I said maybe this is something that we need to do. This is something we need to experience. We need to lose these guys. The mentality. Like someone today, and it clicked. Someone today said to me, "What's the matter with Italy? How come they couldn't make it to the World Cup?" Blah, blah, like after the World Cup's over, months and months and a year later, right? And I'm tired of talking about it. But it hit me. I said, maybe it's the mentality, because you got guys like Insigne and Immobile and the older players that are on the team that were on the team that they won the Euro, but then that was it. And maybe like the mentality had to change, a shift in, the process, right? And here we are, and who would have thought?
Think about how quickly that all actually came together, that this is the Napoli side we're seeing in January.
It was a small miracle.
Not even just players that nobody knew. I don't even think Kvara knew he was going to be this player in Serie A.
No,
I is like good scouting and potential, right. And you hope that they actually don't get crushed under the pressure to perform, which quite frankly, anybody that's going to go into any of the larger Serie A sides are going to struggle. Like who is exactly also Anguissa overperforming, if you want to call it that, because he essentially got kicked out of Fulham, wasn't doing much there, but
oh yeah, that was the coup of our market.
Same player. That is not even the same player that we see for Napoli, and Christine, it's a wonderful thing.
He was our beast in his first match, which was against Juventus last season.
Right.
He was our beast. Match one. Away, he won Beast of the Match. It was unbelievable.
And he won our beat this year. We implemented Beast of the Quarter.
Beast of the Quarter.
Like every quarter we're breaking that. It's growing,
I love Anguissa. I really, really do. But I mean, just speaking to some of Spalletti's selections, like I think that he makes really, really smart decisions. I mean, even this match, putting in Politano over Chucky, like knowing damn well that was the right call, that he deserved the start. He's good. He's better at creating room in really, really tight lines than Chucky is. You can tell why, like it's very easy, and maybe it's just his style that I prefer and favor, which could be the case. And so maybe it's a little bit less objective, more subjective there. But I I can understand his train of thought for why he chooses certain players and everyone together, right?
And
So,
then to sub him with Elmas later in the
yeah,
game,
yeah.
which led to a goal. All right, it was a
Like,
deflection, but still,
I think that
on the
if
right.
if Kostic didn't essentially turn his calf into like ground beef on that flank, maybe wouldn't have seen almost his greatness in that half when we did.
Maybe.
I think that like he took enough knocks. I mean, the other person that got battered was Kvara. And then we ended up seeing Ndombele in the second half. We ended up seeing who else got subbed on?
I think Chucky actually came on really late though, but
Yeah,
but we
Chucky
got
came on
him.
really late. He was in like the 80s, 90 minutes. A little
Ndombele
under
got
that.
Ndombele came in, Oh, Raspadori came in.
Raspadori came in, right?
Came in, man.
So I guess where I'm going next is what do you think when it comes to Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia, right? Like these two guys, they are just tearing up Serie A. But there's so many rumors of transfers, and everybody wants to. All the Premier Leagues are going to be tied to these players, obviously.
They're always going to come. The transfer rumors will come. Sometimes they are literally just chatter, drummed up. Sometimes by their own agents, just to see like what they can actually get, and otherwise, I don't think that I'm super worried yet about any of them. I mean, it's the same thing. Like right now, there's been chatter consistently about Leao, some other players that have been performing, or maybe spotty performance that are still like eyes on by Premier League. I think it's always going to happen, but I feel like, and this could be totally wrong, but I feel like Kvara is happy coming into his own at Napoli. And I don't think that he'll be super eager to leave, because I think that he's just starting to kind of cement himself in that sort of history where you become this sort of beloved player for a club. And granted, I feel like we have fewer and fewer of those as time goes on. I feel like there's less club loyalty.
The modern game is different.
Right. The modern game it's changed in a lot of ways, some for the good, some maybe not so much. But I think that we're safe with Kvara. I think Osimhen should be all right too. Although, the more that they perform, the more they're going to have eyes on. That's part of, heavy is the head, right? And then we know that De Laurentiis is a staunch businessman, and he takes no shit. And he's just sort of like, hey, I'm not gonna overpay for this. I'm gonna do this and see the course. I mean, the man asked Koulibaly to take a pay cut.
But he gracefully accepted. Koulibaly
and quite frankly, like it kind of makes me giggle, because like the absolute audacity is confounding. Bless him. But the fact that you can get players that have essentially their heart in the right place that would concede that and be like, yeah, I could get more for this, but like, hey, let me see it through. Commend that too. It's just that I feel like you need to find some happy medium there where it's, you're a professional athlete, and your career is not finite, you get to sort of, today, tomorrow. I kicked.
Just like, welcome to Ralph and Cupo's the Ralph and Cupo's rant. I guess this is live TV for you guys. I guess we lost. Oh wait, he's back. Hold on. But Rafa, thumbs up if you're good over there. All right, cool. Let's get him back. Sorry.
That was
I scared him off. He was like, "Oh my god, I gotta go."
That hasn't happened in a few weeks, Christine. I fixed all my,
and that's with the good internet.
This is the good internet.
That's the good internet.
Come on, man.
You expect Osimhen to leave in a year or two. Well, I feel like if they win the scudetto, I think he'll stick around.
Yeah,
I'm with Cupo on that. I'm with Cupo on that.
I want to see. I feel like I want to see our players play one more year after Scudetto and then go. You know what I mean? If they want to.
I mean, there's two things that happen after you win a Scudetto. It's like you dump a significant number of players, and some people leave and scatter because they're like, "Hey, I've already done the thing. Let me move on to the next thing." But I also feel like Napoli is just like a different city. It's a different experience for a player. mean, on pitch, off pitch, and otherwise. And so I think that is something that's more challenging to leave than, say, just a club for a check.
Yeah.
I think Napoli is one of those places that can attract people that maybe have something to prove. And I don't say that in like a bad way, but somebody who wants to show their stuff. And they can do it in Napoli. And the good thing about it, that Napolitani, when they see you're sweating, they give you all the love in the world. It's unmatched, I think, compared to other fan bases.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's the lure of the city.
If I'm out to prove myself, I don't know that I'm running to play for Napoli, because I feel like I would more likely just like poop my pants. That's a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. Like, the thing is, like, yes, high risk, high reward. But if you
pressure
fail,
from where? From the fans or from the media? Because I think
everywhere.
The pressure, really?
Everywhere, yes.
I would think it's a lot harder to play.
It's a diamond situation where, like, you are either going to get crushed or come out of it one of the top ballers to ever ball in that city. And those are your only options. There's no in between.
Well, you also have to deal with you got to win us a scudetto, something that no one since Maradona has done.
That's the big one. That's the big
That's for me.
Yeah.
That's
you definitely
the big
are.
thing, right?
You're living in a cast shadow, which is fair, right?
Yeah.
And so, to Matteo's point, other teams and cities will willingly throw you to the street no matter what. Yes, right. They will. However, Napoli is not just the squad. It's the city, it's the culture, it's the lifestyle. So it's not just getting rejected from your employer. It's like somebody looking at you and going, yeah, and you're fat and ugly too, leave.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen, they were ready to shit can Lobotka.
Right.
They were ready to shit can Lobotka.
Oh,
they were calling him Slobotka. They were calling him
Listen, we're guilty too. I went back to a couple episodes like a season or so ago, and boy,
we were destroying
on Lobo.
We were destroying
poor guy. Like, I apologize, Stanislav. If you see this, please don't watch our old episodes. Watch the new ones. They're a little bit more optimistic.
And yes, Peter Scala, hai ragione. If you win in Naples, you'll never be forgotten, for sure, hands down. The thing is, there, I'm emphasizing, it's very much high risk, high reward. So if you think that you can actually thrive and you won't just crumble under all of that pressure, especially for a young player, right? Like, look at a Kvara, okay? He's holding up all of Georgia on his back. People are flocking to movie theaters to collectively watch him play with the Napoli side. When you look at a country that's that small, that hasn't had anybody that's come out and been this guy that he's being in Serie A, it's so significant. And like, I love these stories because we can romanticize the hell out of it. But it also is like, hey, if he had a different attitude, outlook, ability, or just couldn't handle the fact that it's all eyes on him, and after like a couple of weeks, everybody's referring to him as Kvaradona. That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's true.
It's a huge pressure.
And right after the break, you saw a lot of articles online and in the news saying, well, is this a bust, or is this like they were talking? You see something? No,
I'm just giggling at Lobo is our MVP, honestly, which I'm like, yes, I agree. But I'm laughing at Daniel's comment back saying in his first season or two, Lobo was a meatball in a Kappa shirt. And listen, if you don't love me at my meatball in a Kappa shirt, you don't deserve me.
That's right. Lesson learned.
We jumped the gun too quickly. I mean, this guy's endorsed by Hamsik. How can you not have trust in him, right? Shame on us.
I mean, fair enough. He got way more fit. He started playing. I guess maybe the system that he's in, he's playing a little bit more better. So, but that's the thing. You got to put a little bit of account. I think Napoli does that. They give you it's a little bit of accountability. Like, hey, you need to perform. We will give you all the love in the world, unmatched by any other fan base. But you got to perform, and that's what I like about being a Napoli fan. So. Guys, I'm gonna put on a little closing music, guys, just to start wrapping things up. We're at the hour mark. I want to try to be out soon. Christine, you might get a little music in there, but
I can't wait. I hope it's a banger.
It's a lot of fun.
The music here is really good,
and then it comes in like 10 minutes later. It's all good. Oh, there it is. It's a vibe, Christine. It's a real vibe.
It's a big house head growing up. So there you go. I love a little music.
Were you, Ralph? Were you a house?
Big house head.
Guy?
Big. I still am.
Dude,
house reggae, bro. That's my stuff.
Okay, I'm into it. let's put a Forza Napoli sempre in the chat. I'm into it. I just recently at the shop put a playlist of I put in Gigi D'Agostino, right?
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So I put that in my Pandora, and now I have a shuffle stations thing. So I looped it into the shuffle. So you got like Eros Ramazzotti, Ipu, Gigi D'Alessio, and then like Gigi D'Agostino, a bunch of Mexican stuff, a lot of like 80s, 90s hip hop, R&B, stuff like that. It really is a vibe at the shop, and this song gives me the vibe. Like, I'm working, cutting hair, blah, 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 this and that. Anyway, Christine, really quick, right? Yeah. At the meet, I don't know if you remember this, but at the meet, I told you if there was going to be any team to beat Napoli this season, it's Inter. Do you not remember me saying that to you while we were watching the game?
Yeah, I was disappointed.
I said that. So now that we can all agree that I'm right, and I know ball.
So right, Rob. So right.
I want to know.
That's why I hired him.
Going forward, right? Who is going to beat this team again? Like, let's give them one more loss, right? Or maybe if there's one team to catch up to Napoli, like something happens where Napoli lose a couple, tie a couple, and this other team just comes back from the dead, right? What team is it going to be and why? What do you think?
I feel like that's really hard because obviously with the nature of calcio, things change quickly. I feel like there's
the correct answer is La Storia è finita. Napoli is going to win the whole thing. That's the correct answer.
Yeah, I'm in favor of them just like never losing again. Can they withstand it though? I mean, they can't be out here losing to Lazio. That's just embarrassing.
No.
I don't know. Like I think unless there's like a weird Freaky Friday event, they should hold tight.
Mm-hmm. Napoli undefeated rest of the season. Say it right now.
Let's go. Napoli undefeated the rest of the season.
Or unbeaten. Let's say unbeaten.
Unbeaten.
Realistic. That's more realistic.
I'll take that.
Realistic Champions League.
I'm going with that one.
Yeah. There's no reason that they couldn't. There's no reason they couldn't
win the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Really? Because I'll take a quarterfinal. Honestly.
There's no reason that they couldn't with the state that this squad is in, barring injuries or anything that's bizarre or other. The thing with Champions League is there's always going to be a wonky match. Somebody's going to get bounced that you unexpectedly don't really see.
Here's the thing: it's 7 more matches. It's literally 4 more wins, and like that you have to win, right? 4 more games you have to win.
Yep.
Because you could win one and then draw, or like lose but not lose bad enough to qualify, right?
Yeah.
You've got to essentially win 4 more games.
I did not see this Napoli side coming because I think I said maybe it was last year. No, I think last year that like I don't see a Serie A side winning Champions League for probably another 1 to 3 seasons, and like probably more realistically 3 more seasons. But I see no reason why they couldn't. The trouble never.
Yeah,
you never know.
Gonna say it, Dan. And thanks for getting out of my mouth. Tomorrow, Christine.
My faint.
Oh, Madonna mia! I can't believe I forgot to mention this. Ralph, we got to mention this, and then we'll go.
Yeah, I know what it is. I wrote down.
You know what it is? Tomorrow is the first ever all-women referee staff for Napoli Cremonese in Coppa Italia.
Yes.
At the Stadio Maradona, all-women staff.
It's about time.
About that.
No, it's amazing.
It's about time, and I'm so happy it's Napoli.
We're seeing a lot more of the female ref staff that have been assistants and otherwise stepping up and getting means, even in Champions League. It's really good to see because, quite frankly, all of the talent's been there, just they've never got the opportunities. Mm-hmm. So
I want to read off their names real quick. First of all, Cupo, just so you know too, you are our first female guest host here on the Napoli Rant.
Shut up.
I swear.
Yeah, you beat out my fiance, which I'm going to have a word with her later. She's
right.
probably going to.
She's our general manager, so you know.
Yeah, she is. She runs the show, you know.
She's the boss.
Like
I'm going to get killed. So
we just show up and talk.
No,
But yeah,
that is a distinct honor. I hope that's on some sort of like Jeopardy trivia one day.
maybe for 300.
Well, I
Anyway.
just thought that the irony in that was really cool. That you're our first female guest, and then the all women referee crew for Coppa Italia. Even
We're
just-
out here.
you are out here, and you've been
What do you
awesome.
think,
I
girl?
really
What do you
appreciate that.
think?
Why don't you read? Go ahead, read the names off. Read the names off. Who
Oh
are
yeah,
you,
let me
bro?
read the names and then Christine will let you plug something and then we'll get out of here. So the official is Maria Sole Ferrieri Caputi. All right, will be the main.
Maria
official.
Sole Ferrieri Caputi.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
she actually worked her way up all the way from
From
like
D.
coaching as a
Study a
team.
D,
From
yeah.
steady, from steady.
Yeah.
all the way up.
Really?
Yes.
D to C to B, finally to A. So
Bro, that's
congratulations.
awesome.
Her assistants tomorrow are Francesca Di Monte and Tiziana Trasciatti, I believe you pronounce that.
Rasciati. Very nice.
Trasciatti, because there's the
I
S in
love
it.
it.
So congratulations
Me
to
too.
you ladies and good luck to you. We can't wait to see them. Christine, you want to plug anything before we get out of here?
No, well, every week we have Culture Cappuccino, which is the CBS Sports Galazzo
Yes.
/ Paramount Plus podcast with myself, Dre Cordero, Aaron West, and then a rotation of Marco Papi, sometimes Fabrizio Romano, and others that will be joining us in and out. And we get those up every Thursday-ish afternoon that you can get those audio for now, wherever you listen to your podcast. We will be adding the video component, I think, sometime in February. So
Dope.
you will have to look at our faces while we scream at each other.
Dope.
Loved it.
That's how I like
Loved
it.
Definitely check
Dope.
it out, guys. All right. So that's it. That's all the time we got. Steve, thank you again so much. It's been
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to everybody in the chat who is amazing and chatty and respectful.
Napoli's on.
Very
Goodbye,
respectful.
live and well.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Don't forget the 29th, Napoli Roma at Ribalta, Tri-State Napoli Club. Ralph and I will be there.
100%.
We're trying to get Serie A back. You know, we'd love for Miss Cupo to come back in if she can. It's up to
I
her.
might pop through. I mean, you guys
Might
are
pop
fun,
through.
so.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Anytime.
if anything else, you're fun, you know.
We got that good street cred now. You come.
But we want to be the representation for Napoli in this country. We want to get our faces out there. We want to get our, you know, awareness out there. You know, there's a lot of, I have fans every single day text me, hey, you know, is there a club here? Is there a club there? Hey, I just heard there's a club in Rochester. Where can I do that? You know,
Roll over. We're growing.
It's coming. We're coming.
Se
We're
gonfia la
coming.
rete. Se
I
gonfia
love
la
to
rete.
see it, and I appreciate everyone's collective energy in making that happen because it is tireless and sometimes thankless, but it's nice to know that the communities exist.
Awesome.
Well, if you can pop in, we save you a seat, obviously. So
We'll be there.
you go.
All right, guys. Thank you, Rafa. Again, great show. Thank you to all our live viewers as well as our audio listeners. Until next time, Forza Napoli sempre.
Forza Napoli
Ciao, ciao.
sempre. Ciao, ciao.